Oh, now we start the recording. I don't know if I should leave the meeting or continue. Leave the meeting, continue. I'll pick continue.
That, yeah.
All right. Somebody else may want to keep an eye on the participants list. We still have a lot of people that are jumping in, but just keep clicking admit all, admit all, admit all. Let me do a quick screen share. And I have PowerPoints for you, but I also want to do my introduction as well. So share that, and we should see the title slide there. Everybody good?
Yes. And just one thing, sorry, interrupted you in middle. That if attendees are having queries, please do put it in the chat. We will address them. Once all the entire session check has been completed, so that we don't have any interruption in the middle. So we'll address them once everything has been finished, and check and go through all of them. And I request everyone else to be on mute, please, so that less disturbances. Thank you, Chuck. Sorry, I disturbed you and interrupted you in middle.
No worries. Anytime. We're in no hurry tonight or this morning. Forgive me, I can't keep the time zones straight. So it's hard for everybody. When I become emperor of the world, we won't have time zones. How's that? So that'll never happen. All right, I'm throwing up a safe harbor notice because there may be a few things in here that aren't available. General availability doesn't actually happen until next month. So anything that I say here may or may not happen before we get to GA, but it's pretty certain that what's in this deck and what I'll be talking about, and even maybe some forward-looking things that I mentioned that might be in San Diego or Tokyo, will come to pass. But please, as I'm legally obliged to say, please don't make any sort of purchasing decisions based on what's said here. This is really meant for the technical people, the developers, the administrators, to get some information about what's in Rome so that you can be best prepared to do implementations as people upgrade to Rome. So let me get back. Why did that ding at me? All right, let's see if we can get this going again. There we go. So for those that don't know me, and I don't want to assume everybody does, my name is Chuck Tomasi. I am a senior developer advocate at ServiceNow. I've been with the company since mid-2010. I was a customer for a couple of years before that. So I've got coming up on 13 years experience on ServiceNow. It has changed a lot in that 13 years. But some things that have always remained the same is that we've got a wonderful community. There are people helping people. There are just wonderful solutions and very innovative and imaginative people that are building on the platform, whether it's custom applications or configuring the out-of-box applications. It's just been a wonderful, wonderful experience from both sides as a customer and an employee of the company. So I'm not going to go down the whole long list of what's on my CV, but if you want to know more about me, go look on LinkedIn or check out my homepage at chucktomasi.com. There's plenty of fun to be had there. I'm going to break this down into several categories. So I'm not going to be reading any scripts. If I miss something, somebody please, Drew probably knows this material as well as I do at this point. We're going to start out with App Engine. An App Engine is part of the new workflow we call creator workflows. So if you've been around ServiceNow for more than 3 months, you're probably already familiar with IT workflows, ITSM, ITOM, IT asset management, IT business management. That's all part of the IT workflows. We've got employee workflows, HR service delivery, for example. And we've got customer workflows for the customer service management. Well, we had all this other stuff on the platform, and they said, well, hang on a sec. We can make a fourth pillar that's almost like kind of like a box of Legos, and we'll call it creator workflows. So that's what lets you build those custom apps. And App Engine and Integration Hub are really two of those main building blocks in the in the creator workflows. So if you think about, we now have 4 main workflows: Creator Workflows, App Engine, and Integration Hub are in there. So what's in App Engine? Probably already seen it, and you probably already know. The first thing is App Engine Studio. Came out in March of 2021. In parallel, I won't say it was part of the Quebec release, but it came out in parallel with the Quebec release because App Engine Studio is a store application. We're starting to release more of these capabilities on the store so that we can have more frequent updates and you can take advantage of those features without having to wait up to 6 months for the next release. So one of the first things that people said in App Engine Studio is, this is great. It enables a lot of my citizen developers or low-code developers to build things, but please, can we have some governance and control? We said, absolutely. So that was the big focus for App Engine Studio in Rome. It allows the administrators to build flows. So maybe you need an approval, maybe you don't. We could say when the citizen developer hits go, maybe they're a trusted developer, and it runs a whole bunch of self-tests on the background with instance scan and doing the CI/CD stuff and kicking that off. And administrators really don't need to pay much attention until it gets to test. And then somebody tests it, and then ATF runs. And really it could be as seamless as that, or if you have people that need a little more high touch or guidance, prescriptive inspection of what they've been doing. Like, maybe a choice field was a better idea than a reference field here. You could do that and have that approval in there. So we've really offered the admins a way to configure the system to do that. We also allow multiple people to collaborate on one application within App Engine Studio as well. I don't have the full details of how that's done at this point, but I know it can be done. So you can get a small team working on it together. And of course, anything that's built in App Engine Studio can also be worked on in Studio, or as you'll hear it sometimes referred to as Dev Studio. That's the studio that we've had since Geneva, Helsinki, whatever it was, to work on the applications there. So if you need to go beyond what's available in App Engine Studio, maybe it's a script include, maybe it's a UI action, maybe it's a client script, you can do that in Studio as well. So anything started in AES can be brought into Studio as well. The other thing, my arrow keys are not working, so I'm going to have to keep clicking on this. The other big thing in App Engine is a new mobile app builder, also available from the store. It's supposed to be available on September 16th is the latest date that I've heard, because we've asked the product managers to do Creator Toolbox with us on Tuesday, September 14th. And they said yes. So we will have a little bit of preview on this, but what it does is simplifies and really reimagines what it's like to build those mobile applications. It's still the same underlying table structures with screens and applets and landing pages, but it's made a lot easier with the left-hand navigation to break it out into the data items. Because if any of you have ever tried building a mobile application, it can get a little confusing, especially for the new people, of action items and functions and data items, and it kind of goes around in circles until you get your head around, oh, you need to build these smaller components and build up the tree, and this is how they fit together. Usually takes 1 or 2 applications before you start to comprehend the way things piece together and how you can reuse them. This makes it much, much easier to visualize that and to access that. Not so much JSON editing in the back end either. So this is coming out in just a few weeks. Very much looking forward to that, having conversations with the product manager right now so we can bring you some demonstrations and some enablement about that. Was there a question, or I thought I heard something? All right. Any questions about App Engine Studio Mobile App Builder before I continue on?
not really, John.
All right, looking at the chat, I don't see anything either. Then let's move on to the web UX. And if I can find my... Oh, we had a question?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Is App Engine configurable if I don't want my citizen developers not to have the access to the experience?
You can, just like any other module, if you didn't want them to have access to Service Portal, you don't have to give them the right roles. So like anything, it requires certain roles. I mean, if the user has admin role, they're going to have access to it. If they don't, I believe there's like an App Engine developer or App Engine admin or a different role that you can grant them so you can have access to AES. So that would be the best way to control who has access to what. All right. So web UX. You've probably heard, if you haven't, we've come out with workspaces, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. They've been around for a while. You may have seen them in CSM or ITSM as agent workspace. And up until recently, they've only been configurable in a small way. They really haven't been very configurable. And the way we enabled that is with a tool called UI Builder that came out in Quebec. So unfortunately, we had to change the data model a little bit to enable configurable workspaces. So, I keep reaching for my arrow keys and it's not working. So in Quebec and beyond, I don't know why this is in the Rome deck, but I know there are some new features in UI Builder and the web UX. So we'll call it even. But UI Builder allows you more of a clicks, not code, we'll call it that, just to sound like a buzzword, user interface to build these out. You may have experienced doing CMS on the content management system, or maybe Service Portal, where you had to create some custom widgets and a lot of Angular JS. I was just doing some of that today for a project. UI Builder still allows you to build those custom components, but you can take advantage of a library of hundreds of components that you just configure. If you want a button, you put a button on there. What does it say? What does it do? And you still have the control of what events happen and what data lookups happen. So it's a lot more effective and efficient and creates less technical debt than, say, Service Portal would. Just as a quick history lesson for those who are new to the platform, originally our UI was based on a technology called Jelly. It was part of the Apache Foundation. And Jelly really didn't take off the way we hoped it would. It was a nice templating language so that you could lay out your forms and lists in a template and then just parametrically set them up to say, this is the list, these are the columns, go look over here and format this way. But Jelly was it was very XML, and people don't really like programming in XML. Maybe some of you PHP programmers would feel more at home because the code was in line with the formatting, and good on you if that's the case. Then Service Portal came out about 2016, built on Angular JS, and that was funded by Google for a while, and then they dropped off. It seemed like they were coming out with a new release every other week. People kept asking, hey, ServiceNow, when are you going to support Angular 2, Angular 4, Angular 6, Angular 12? Like, how are we supposed to keep up with that without creating a lot of headaches for the customer? Because honestly, there was no upgrade path from Angular 1.x to Angular 2.x. It was like rewriting everything. So we said we need to protect our customers against this, and came out with the Now Experience framework. You may hear of this by its original code name, Seismic. That's what it is. It's a way to allow you to create user experiences without being tied to some underlying technology. Because if we had just said, oh, Angular's dead, let's go with React, I can bet you in 5 years React is not going to be the hot thing anymore. It's going to be something else. Well, we can swap out what's underneath without having you redo everything you've done for your UI and your portals. And if you started to look at many of the experiences that we've come out with, like Workspace, that's based on this seismic or now experience framework, you're going to see a lot more of it in the next release in San Diego, because that's where the platform is headed. It's a lot more modern. It's a lot more configurable. It's a lot more. It creates less technical debt. So that's where we're headed. And three of the things that we've added, I'm going to dig into these in just a second. You can change the layout, obviously. Configurable workspaces work with the UI Builder, and we'll talk about bullet number 3 here in a second. So one of the things we added was viewports. We did this on, was it Creator Toolbox? Yeah, it was just this past Tuesday. We did a Creator Toolbox video. Brad Tilton walked us through creating a viewport and using that viewport on the form. I think he used it in a modal. There were a couple of different ways. Viewports are a repurposable view of something that you can place. If you've dealt with Jelly in the past, you're probably familiar with UI pages popping up in a modal or a page. The only difference here is you don't call a viewport directly with a URL like you would with a UI page. So sorry if I lost some of you on that legacy terminology, but that's a sort of analogy of what a viewport is, as best I understand it. If you want more information, I can certainly point you at some people that can do that. We've also upgraded the condition builder within UI Builder. In the previous release in Quebec, this was just a repurposed condition builder that you've seen in many other places in UI 16, on lists, on reports, etc. This one allows you to take advantage of those UI Builder components, those elements, at context, at properties, at client state parameters, that sort of thing. So it's rather than just saying active is true, you can now say active equals, or active is, and then put in at state dot some client state parameter. So you can make it very dynamic based on the data rather than hard coding it to active is true as a simple example. Let's see, keep clicking, Charles. Break that habit of hitting the keyboard. Delegated development is something you can find within Studio. It's under the application menu, I believe, the file, and you say manage developers. You can grant certain people to do certain things, either individually or as a group. Say, I allow these people to do reports, but not security, or forms and tables, but not ACLs or service portal. Well, we've added a way to enable them to use UI Builder within delegated development. And if they have delegated development access and they try to access a page that they're not entitled to, they'll see it as a read-only page. Was there a question? I thought I heard something. Oh, I'm looking at the Q&A. Thank you, Drew, for answering that question. Yeah, unfortunately, that's the pain of technical debt when it comes to creating portals and whatnot. The question is there any utility that helps migrate existing service portals to UI Builder workspaces? And the fact is they are completely different technologies. And unless you have some magic script that can translate one language to another and all the events and everything else, no, that's just not going to happen. There's no like Rosetta Stone for any of these things. We do have theme support in the CSS editor. So my understanding of this is not real deep yet. I am willing to admit I don't know certain things as well as I should. But I understand you can add CSS to change the elements. But if you want to change the overall properties of a component, you need to use the theme editor at this time. So let's go on to Playbook. We introduced Playbook and Process Automation Designer in Paris a year ago. We had a couple episodes of Tech Now. I think it was October, November with the product manager, Yaron Gez. and he showed us some of the stuff you can do. See if I can say this tonight. Process Automation Designer is built on top of Flow Designer and allows low-code people to build process flows, or actually they're called playbooks, in a Kanban style. Think visual task boards at the next level. So you can have a series of tasks in lanes, that kind of thing. And as they move through the lanes, they move through the stages. Well, Playbook is the visualization of those playbooks written in Process Automation Designer. I feel like I'm talking in circles at this point. But one of the things we've created is what's called a playbook record generator. And at first I thought this was the same thing as a record producer. What's the value to this? Well, it allows you to actually start a playbook before you have a record generated. And if you think about that, it's the reverse of what we have for record producers. The workflow, or the flow in Flow Designer, doesn't start until you have a record. They all start out like, hey, if something's updated or something's created or something is created or updated, you need that record first. This was asked for by the customers. I forgot what the use case is that Yaron gave us, but we did it was a creator toolbox in August, I think it was, might have been late July, where we actually did this, and he built one of these out and used this and showed us all this wonderful stuff about Playbook. Let's see, I'm going to keep going on this one. Playbook also has a preview. So as you're building these in Process Automation Designer, you can preview what they're going to look like. Not much to be said there. It's kind of what you would expect, almost like the test button in Flow Designer. We also have a new activity view. The whole point of this is to keep agents focused on one task at a time, rather than showing them what's coming up or what could be coming up in the flow. This allows them two different ways to do this, either a stacked view or a focused view, to show what's coming up in that playbook as it happens. So very good stuff. All right, let's talk about some fun stuff, because we're developers here. We want to know what's cool for the developers. Well, the first thing is you can now use source control, aka Studio and GitHub and all that good stuff, for apps that are installed from ServiceNow plugins. The big ones are, of course, customer service management, HR applications for the employee workflows, a lot of those applications. So originally when we came out with scoped apps and Studio and source control, all that good stuff, the only thing you could really manage in here were the scoped apps you created yourself. Then in, I don't want to get this backwards, I believe it was Paris, we allowed global applications. And in Quebec, we allowed you to extend store applications. I went, okay, this is getting good, but we're still missing one thing, and we just addressed that in Rome, that you can now add on customizations and track those and release those, et cetera, with source control for those ServiceNow plugin applications. The other thing is we've got headless ATF testing. So there are many ATF tests in Automated Test Framework that run client-side. Anytime you open a form or you want to test things where you're seeing a form, it's not pure server-side code, you need a client for that. Well, traditionally, customers would open up a browser and start it and go home. It was hard to schedule something in the middle of the night for a browser that was running without running into some security risks or whatever. So in combination with Docker, we're using the Docker technology to fire up a client at the appropriate time. We can now do headless browser testing in ATF. So that's been asked for almost since day one, when we came out with Automated Test Framework. The other one that's on here that you may have heard of before, it officially came out in April, so it was after Quebec, but we wanted to make sure that it wasn't missed somewhere in there, is the command line interface. This is a single command line interface that allows you to build now experience components. So if you want to build your own custom components, you can do that. Same CLI will do a lot of the basic CRUD operations for table APIs, that kind of thing. And if you've got your own scripted REST APIs, you can call these from the CLI as well. You can extend the capabilities simply by putting in table entries on the system to say, here is my main command, here's the endpoint that's going to hit, here are the subcommands, and maybe you've got Linux shell scripts that need to run. You can install the CLI on a Linux server, and it can run commands that interact with ServiceNow. Very, very interesting vector to exchange data. So you may or may not have a use case for that right now. And once again, my cursor's gone. Where'd it go? I'm just gonna start clicking things. Can't find my cursor. Did my machine lock up? How long ago did that die? Can anyone hear me?
Yeah, audible. I think your screen is also, the video is also frozen, I believe.
I think my screen died, and I'm not sure how I can get that back. Zoom is not responding, and my command is not responding.
So I think you might need to drop off and rejoin.
I think I might need to drop off and come back. I am not seeing any sign of life on this end other than you can hear me, which is fortunate, but give me a couple minutes, I'll be right back. I apologize about that. I rebooted earlier, and I didn't expect this. So, one moment.
Sure.
Well, what is the features, what are things that you're looking forward in Rome?
While Chuck is joining back, we'll have a small poll. So I would like everyone to participate in that. So we'll just get.
It's good to see Mandar joining us today. Good morning, Mandar.
Good morning. It's very difficult to wake up early, so it's an effort that I took.
I hope the poll is visible.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Frozen.
Hey guys, can't we have workshop one?
Sorry, I'm not sure who's that speaking, but we're not audible.
Hello? Is it good now?
Still very low. Maybe you can post your query in the chat, maybe possible, because your voice is.
Is it okay now?
Yeah, it's better, much better.
Yeah. So in the poll, the third question was regarding the workshop. So unfortunately, there was an option to choose only one. Can't we have more than one?
I think you can paste in your suggestions in the chat that you know you would like to see. Keep a note of it.
Yes.
So yeah, Dhruv, like I was having a query for you. What are the features that you are looking forward in the Rome features in Rome version?
Actually, I'm more into this SRO. So that thing is site reliability. So I'm putting my head in that direction. And UI builder, and I'm more excited about the San Diego and Tokyo stuffs that are coming. So that is way ahead what we are seeing now, especially in the Rome release, especially in the UI builder thing. So there are few things like Polaris or some these things. I'm not allowed to disclose, but those are really amazing. So anyhow, those are these things gonna be fun.
And some major technical glitch, I guess. No issues. I request everyone to please respond to our poll. It will really help us to give better meetups in future.
Folks are adding also on the chat. Some want both integration app plus UI builder. Let's see if we can get that session available for you. Any other topics that you would like to have, other than these that I've mentioned in the poll,
Yeah.
please make
Yes,
sure you
yes.
ping it on the chat.
Yeah, I have mentioned the virtual agent.
Chuck, we cannot hear you.
I'm here.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, good. Let me do the screen share again then. I'm asking the computer to do far less than it was before, just in case I confused it with too many monitors or something. All right, now I gotta find where we were. Hold on. Let's can I escape out of that? There we go. We were down here on that. Okay. We were talking about the CLI. I think that was the last thing I had, correct?
Yes,
Your
sir.
screen share has been stopped, I think.
Screen share's been
Yeah.
stopped. Thank you, Zoom. Boy. Or should I thank PowerPoint? I don't know. There we are. Okay. Back on the road. Delegated development, I talked about that a little bit before, allows you to deputize people to do certain things within the platform without giving them admin rights or the keys to the castle. We've now given source control availability to certain people, so you can delegate who has access to commit or apply things from source control. So nice to know. And once again, the arrow keys aren't working here. Another one that I use, I say use with extreme caution. There is a new delegated developer application switch that says, allow these people to delete an application. And you're saying to yourself, Chuck, why would I give anyone that access? You may have citizen developers that like to try and fail and try and fail and try and fail. Or, and rather than cluttering up your app repo with app names that aren't used or whatever, you can give them access to delete applications. Otherwise, it's up to the admin to periodically go into the list of applications and delete them, and heaven only knows what that's going to cause. So again, use this with your best judgment, but it is available. You can now also create UI Builder experiences from within Dev Studio, aka Studio. Previously, the only place to create these was within App Engine Studio, which is one of the main reasons why I went into App Engine Studio, was to create the UI Builder workspaces. Well, now you can do that within Studio as well. So very nice to know. You don't, because in order to use App Engine Studio, don't forget, you need an App Engine license to use App Engine Studio. And we'll come back to that in just a sec. Actually, I should have mentioned it on Mobile App Builder. So Mobile App Builder is available from the store. And like Flow Designer, Mobile App Builder connects into App Engine Studio. But in order to have that connectivity, you need App Engine licensing for App Engine Studio. If you don't have App Engine licensing, and this is about as deep as I'm getting into licensing, so please don't ask any more questions about it. In order to use App Engine Studio, you need App Engine licensing, but you can still use Mobile App Studio. You can still use Flow Designer. You can still create tables all of that stuff you do in App Engine Studio, you can do elsewhere without the App Engine license. It's the value of the App Engine license and using App Engine Studio is that it allows those citizen developers easy navigation, easy management, easy deployment of those applications. You don't have to teach them as much about the whole platform and building on the platform as you would. So a bit of a sideline there. I apologize for that diversion. Okay, whew. One of my other favorite features, workflows and integrations. I absolutely love what's been going on in this space in the last couple of years. So Flow Designer came out in Kingston, I believe it was, if my memory serves right, a couple of years ago. We released it. It's a new visual way of building workflows. If you haven't looked at it yet, I strongly recommend you do build new workflows in Flow Designer. Maintain the old stuff. Certainly if you're using the old graphical workflow engine that we've had since 2008 and you've got things built there, I really wouldn't advise investing the effort in migrating a lot of that stuff because there isn't a one-click migrating tool. Again, different architectures, different data models, different concepts involved, but build new things here. The big one we've got in Flow Designer for Roam is error handling. Now, if a flow has problems, you can basically trap that error, or if you think about it in scripting terms, it's the catch on a try-catch block, and do something as basic as sending a notification to more complex things like run a subflow and do remediation. So lots of these actions are available. In the future, I'm told by the product management team that we're going to be moving more error catching into the flow itself. So the error handling is available at the flow, it's available in subflows, it's even available in actions. And I know it's hard to see on this graphic, but underneath each action, there's also like an error code to say, hey, was there an error? Did it run this action successfully? Because if you're like me, sometimes credentials expire or a payload comes back from a REST API that isn't what you would expect, and that just causes your entire flow to crash. And it could be hours, days, weeks before you discover something's wrong. With error handling, you can get notified right away. Something happened, or create an incident that says, this flow has issues. You might want to go check it out, or create a defect report. You name it, you can get there a lot faster. So a lot less downtime, a lot more proactivity about managing those flows. We also added some new data pill functions in Flow Designer. So if you drag a data pill out there, you can always run a little script instead of grabbing a data pill, but you can now do more of these, including math, string, and date functions. Very handy if you want to take say trim a string of white spaces at the beginning and end, or add some numbers. Now, currently, it only lets you add a literal value to a data pill. So you could take, say, a flow variable and add 1 to it every time you went through a loop. Okay, might be one simple use case. But there isn't the availability to say, hey, take this data pill plus that data pill, or this data pill times the result of this other output from another action. It's not there yet, but they are working on that. So more to come here. Oh, also forgot to mention 2 other things that are on that slide. Improved performance, which we all absolutely love. Normally, when you're building and debugging your flows, you have the easy access to those execution details. Great for development, seeing what happened and where the details are, but storing, recording, and retrieving and rendering all that information can take time. As the flow is running, it's logging a whole bunch of information that it can present back to you later. When you're done with development, it's almost like turning off debug statements in your script, although this has a performance impact, whereas that one generally doesn't. If you turn off the logging, then your flows will run faster. Only makes sense. The other thing we've done on that third item is variables in the flows were retained indefinitely, and most people didn't need them indefinitely. So the table var_dictionary is now purged after a month. Was there a question? It was just an accidental microphone. Okay.
There are a few on the chat. Chuck, would you like to address them right now regarding Flow Designer?
I'm sorry, say it again.
Yeah, there's one query on the chat. It's Flow Design. Is there any option or there's a possibility of adding an option to include email templates in send email action?
You can use the notifications out of the notification table, which I strongly recommend. If you've been watching any of my videos for the last several years, you know, I like to centralize where my notifications are managed, and it's always in the notifications table because you can trigger them with events, you can trigger them from flows, you can trigger them from record insert and update. They're all there. You're not looking for some that are in an old legacy workflow, because if somebody receives a message and they go, hey, I need the wording changed on this, I don't want to look in 3 or more different places for how did this email even get generated? I want them all in one place. So when you go into the notification and you say, how do you want this triggered? There's going to be record inserted or created event. And there's also one, which I believe is just called triggered. Stupidest choice list I've ever seen. But triggered is the ones that will show up here. So when you use the action for a notification, those are the notifications that will show up. So you can use those. And of course, anything built in the notification table can make use of a template. That was a long way around it, but we should probably do a video on notifications again. Hope that answered the question. And I am going to bring up the chat somewhere where I can see it. There we are. That should help.
Who has been helping us to answer lots of queries. I think one query that was initially missed out with the UI Builder is that is there any plan to move out-of-box service portals into UI Builder?
I would take that on a case-by-case basis. There's no automated way to do it, so any work that needs to be done is going to be much like migrating the old legacy workflow to Flow Designer. Unless you have to, or you've got a compelling business reason to do so, I wouldn't redo all of your portals. But if you're coming to, say, a merger and acquisition, or your company is rebranding, or they've decided we've had enough with customizations on ServiceNow, we're going back to an out-of-box design, those types of opportunities might be a place where you could say, let's look at this. Now, that being said, Service Portal still has some advantages over UI Builder. UI Builder is fast and easy to configure and build things, but it's not responsive like Service Portal is. You can't just take the same UI Builder portal and use it on a mobile device transparently. That doesn't exist today. So there's a number of other things that I've discovered along the way as I've built applications and went, okay, I've got a choice, Service Portal, UI Builder, Mobile App Builder. How do I want to give these users an experience? Sometimes it comes down to the requirements that you're looking for in the users. They require a real-time update. We just wrote one last week where we're going to be doing a charity event in a couple of weeks, and they said we're doing an auction where people will bid on these things, but not everybody's going to be at the event. I don't know if you've ever been to one of these events where they have, some sports paraphernalia or, a garment bag or, just various things lined up on a table. And then you walk around and you write down, I want to bid, so much on this. And somebody comes along next to you and outbids you. But you can see that whole trackability on the paper. Well, they said, we want to do that, but we want people to be able to participate remotely on their mobile devices as well. And we decided to go to Service Portal on that because it allowed us some of those real-time updates to say, okay, put on a record watch and have the widget say, you've been outbid when such and such changes. So I put that together in a few hours, and now it's, the other 20 hours on this project are just tweaking the CSS to make it look nice, but functionally it's working fine. So that's what we've got coming up. I can be a little long on the answers, and we're already 45 minutes into this. Let me get through some more of these. Integration Hub imports. I love this one. I'm definitely going to be looking at building this on some more of my upcoming projects, or maybe even retrofitting some of the previous projects. It allows you to do the whole importing of data source, import sets, transform maps in a low code, no code way. It really changes that whole experience. It says, okay, what's your data source? Currently, as of Rome, the only data source that's supported is a data stream, which is really nice. If you haven't used data streams before, look into them, especially if you have a large payload and you want paginated results. Data streams are a wonderful tool. We will have more data source types coming up in the future. That being said, you ingest the data source, it automatically goes into the import set. You don't have to get all confused by a lot of these things. There's no scripting, so if you do need some of those capabilities like on start, on finish, on complete, those transform scripts that need to be run, then you go back to the traditional stuff. But this is a nice way to make it real easy to take in some of this information and to go, okay, what's the unique factor? What's my coalesce field? I believe they call it match here. So whatever fields you're matching on determines if a record is created or updated. So very fun stuff. We did this on Live Coding Happy Hour a week or so ago. Forgive me if my timing is off. COVID destroyed my internal clock. I didn't have COVID, but the whole last 18 months of just, I used to be able to keep track of time very well. A couple other things that have been put into Integration Hub. One is some subscription notifications. So as you're building something, it will say, hey, by the way, you're doing this in development, but you don't have a license to deploy this. So it gives the developers a little more advanced notice of potential licensing issues that they're going to run into, rather than getting it into production, finding out from ServiceNow weeks or months later that, oh, we've deployed something. Now, really, those conversations should be happening on the front end with the account team to say, this is what we're looking at building, but this gives you some advanced warning. Duplicate query parameters, if you've got, say, a REST API that needs the same query parameter multiple times, those used to not be allowed. You could hack around them, but now it's perfectly supported, as you can see in this example where it says column ID, column computer ID, column updated at. These will be put in with ampersand, key equals value, ampersand, other key equals value, and so on and so forth. And for the security buffs, we support TLS 1.2 for outbound, which is a great segue to more security stuff. Any other questions about Flow Designer or Integration Hub?
I think there's one small query. I think, is ServiceNow going to ship a UI builder experience with, say, HR CSM that we can build upon, similar to the service portal that used to come out of box?
My understanding is with San Diego, all of the workflows will have a configurable workspace, but don't fire me if that doesn't happen. That's what I've heard, but I haven't heard it through a what I would call a confirmed source yet. So the direction is that, yes, we are moving more towards the seismic now experience desktop interface.
So, Chunk, one question I have. So can we migrate existing workflow with Flow Designer?
No, I believe I mentioned that earlier, that there's no upgrade path for those. So if you've got older workflows, just keep maintaining them until there's a point where you say, look, this really needs to be rebuilt, or the process is being redesigned. Let's not try to redesign it in legacy workflow. New work should happen in Flow Designer. Because there's,
Thank you.
If you think about Flow Designer, it's got a whole different paradigm than the legacy workflow. I know a lot of people, including myself, have used the legacy workflow as a front-to-end to run a process. The start block would come in and you'd loop around a few times with rollbacks and approvals, and then do some tasks and decisions, and eventually you come out on the end, and by that time the ticket or the record was closed. It moved to a completed state or canceled state or whatever, and it came to an end and the workflow was done. So the workflow was generally alive during the life cycle of that record. Flows are more like business rules in that sense. You can trigger a flow multiple times. This record's been updated. Great. The state changed to whatever. Run these few tasks, run this subflow, and it will go. You could have 3 or 4 flows running at the same time. So if you think of them as bigger, better business rules, it makes more sense than thinking of them as, hey, how do I get my old workflows in here? Because they work on a different framework. Hope that helps.
Yeah, thank you. That's help.
Good.
Thanks a lot.
No problem. Good question. Okay, let's go through security. I'm not a security expert by any means, but just wanted to spotlight a few things for those that do need to keep track of this. We've got this thing called contextual security policies. The way I understand this is you can apply different security policies to the way people interact with your system. It's different than ACLs. This is how they engage or log into your system. You could say, if the IP address is coming from China, block them. I do not want anybody even getting to this page. If they're coming from someplace not on the VPN, we're going to use two-factor. If they're on the VPN, we'll use SSO, and away we go. Wow, that almost rhymes. Well, it did rhyme, but I didn't plan on it. So you can set up these different levels of contextual security. We also support PIV and CAC, the personal identity verification and common access cards that allow people to get access to the security. I believe we used this for login before, and somebody asked me if you can use this with e-signature. My understanding is yes, if you have the e-signature plugin turned on. So instead of the person logging and giving their password again, they could use one of these secondary verifications. And I don't know how. I'd love to see a demonstration of this, but apparently we now support biometric options too. One other thing about security is we have logging for anybody who goes to a list menu and says export to Excel or export to XML or export to something, export to PDF. We can track that because people want to know if their data is being exported. A lot of the news stories you see are about so-and-so took information, put it into Excel on their laptop, and their laptop got stolen. Okay, you've just taken something out of the cloud and put it locally. The security people want to know about that. This report will show up on the, I believe it's the Security Incident Management dashboard. I'll have to double check that in my notes, but you can now report which tables have been exported, which is nice. Encryption, I'm not going to spend a lot of time here because this coming Tuesday, we have a whole tech now about encryption options and use cases. And I've been trying to get this guy for 2 years to talk about it, but he kept saying, hold on, there's something cool and new coming in the next release. And I say, great, it's Paris. Can we go now? Nope, hold on. We've got something coming in Quebec that I really, really want to tell you about. Well, we finally slowed down the development enough where he can give me some good information. I mean, we've got field encryption and edge encryption and database encryption. So I said, Pierre, we need to talk. So we're going to be talking. Couple other things, I'm going to go through these hopefully pretty quickly, about the platform foundation. The first one, our good old friend, the system log. Many of us have been here, sometimes more than we hope to, looking for what happened and why and where's my message. We've added 2 new fields, one called the source package and one called the source application family, just to help filter things down. So when you've got a plugin turned on or you've got a package within the application, you can narrow down who's doing what and where did this message come from. The source field on the left of this inset has always been there. It usually says, for me, it usually says something like * script. Like, great, that's nice. I know that's mine. As far as plugins, you can now schedule the installation of plugins. If you want your plugins to activate at 3 a.m., schedule for 3 a.m. and you can do them in batches. So a lot of administrators are happy about that. We've got this thing called reactive scan, and I don't have a whole lot of information other than you can identify if something doesn't go quite right, say with an update install. So if you say sys update set as my table to watch, it will launch an instance scan because the update may be because of something else. I really expected to see something more like a condition field here to say, what do you want to do? And maybe a reference to which instance scan you're launching. Because I don't know that it makes sense to run every instance scan. And I don't know that that's what happens. So I need to find out more information about this. Look for more information on that on an upcoming Creator Toolbox and or Live Coding Happy Hour. But nice to know that unless anybody on this call has experimented with this before, let me know. Is Instance Security Center being replaced by security? I am, like I said, I'm not a SecOps kind of guy, so I don't really know the answer to that one. Okay, one final thing that I think most of us want to know about, and this was buried down deep in a video, a couple of changes, and I apologize because the text doesn't really agree with the graphic, but I'll tie them together for you. When Customer Service Management came out, they extended various tables from sysuser. The problem we have is that, let's say Disney is one of our customers and their employees are also their customers. So they go home, they watch Disney Plus as their streaming service, they come to work, they work in the call center. So they're an employee and a customer. They have two different personas. But in the sysuser table, they only have one email address. Well, I'm willing to bet that most of them are not logging into Disney Plus with their Disney.com address. It's probably Gmail or Yahoo or whatever their ISP is. So we had this issue of identifying them in the system with two different personas, one user, because there's only one email address in sysemail, in sysuser. Excuse me. I know that some customers have put a secondary email address on there, but that doesn't help because the inbound email processing, whether you're doing that through inbound email actions or you're doing that through a flow that's triggered by an inbound email, they don't look at anything other than sysuser.email. And if it doesn't find you there, you're going to end up as guest. That's no good. So that was the problem. What we did was twofold. For Customer Service Management, you can see the table structure has been redecorated a little bit in that we have, instead of extending sysuser, we reference sysuser. And this is something that I put in place in one of my applications as well. It makes for a little more work on the back end, but it also means your sysuser table isn't cluttered up by a whole bunch of u_this and application name that. And our sysuser table on one of our internal ServiceNow instances is a god-awful mess because it's just had so many applications trying to do so much. Like, I need 2 fields here and I need 4 fields there. The smarter way, if you're going to be architecting a new application, is to create a new table with all of those extended attributes for that application in much the same way that CSM did. And then if you have other uses for that, you extend that that other table. In this case, it's called the app user persona. I don't have the exact table name for CSM fans. I apologize about that. But I did the same thing with my ServiceNow karaoke app. I have a user profile record that references sysuser, but all the karaoke stats are on that user profile table. So it's not messing things up. It's not, and although I don't have a use case for the email address thing, this also allows you to put those email addresses in other places. Specifically, in the CMN notif device table. So the inbound rules, getting back to that original problem of identifying these people, if the Disney customer sends in an email as joeemployee@gmail.com, it will look first in the sys user table, say, I don't have a Joe employee at gmail.com. Rather than defaulting to the guest, it then goes through and checks, do I have a Joe employee at gmail.com in the CMN notif device table? And says, yes, I do. Now we can match that to a real person, a real record somewhere in this hierarchy. So if you're dealing with inbound emails, just be aware that the search is a little bit better. Keep an eye on what email addresses and what channels, I believe these are referred to as channels now, in that table that people can interact with. So that was the last thing I had. If you want to check out more about Roam, be sure to go get yourself an updated PDI that's running Roam. Read the docs, There's lots of release notes in there, I know. Some of them are specific to the platform. It could be a full-time job just reading release notes every 6 months, and start exploring. Okay, do we have any more questions in here?
I think there were a few. I think that has been answering a couple of them. I think, is this feature for CSM or any inbound email action? I think
Any inbound email action. It was needed most by CSM, but any inbound email action starting in Roam will now look at that new table. But it's not a new table. The table's been around forever. Excuse me.
I think similar basis, does that have any impact on existing configuration for the customers for CSM?
I'm not sure what the upgrade path there is. If CSM needs an upgrade, how those tables are restructured, that's beyond my knowledge at this point. I would reach out to somebody who knows more about CSM.
Hello, Chuck. I have one question. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, I have one question. In the virtual agent script action, we have some limitation of characters for writing the script. So did this character limitation is going to be exceed, or will it be seen in upcoming instances?
I'm having a hard time understanding that. Does anybody get that?
There's
Hello?
a character limitation on the scripts in the script action for Flow Designer. So has those limitations
virtual agent.
virtual agent?
For virtual agent, in the script action of virtual agent, there is some character limitation. So will it be going to be extended in more characters will be allowed in upcoming instances?
Let me
It was
take
still
that.
a bit broken up. I didn't quite get all that.
The limit is fine because it's virtual agent is all about user experience. You don't want to hang on the user and running those scripts. So I'm yet to see a use case where you need more characters unless you are naming your variables like crazy stuffs, but it's fine. It's okay to have that much limit. Otherwise, you can have
I have crazy stuff variables. What's wrong with that?
you have limits, like if variable is var va, that is fine unless you are writing virtual underscore agent underscore client name. That is stuff.
For Flow Designer, there have been scenarios where I removed a step or action from the subflow, published it, and moved it to the upper instances, but the subflow is still not updated. Seems weird, but has there been any explanation for such an issue? Don't know. I haven't heard of that one. Had to fix this by copying the subflow. Interesting. That sounds like a bug, and I would definitely report it up through support. For virtual agent, we have a limitation in script action. Lookup. Will this limit be fixed in upcoming release? Ah, okay. That I don't know. I'm not a virtual agent expert. Did your flow have actions which were not published? That could be, but I still think you can publish flows and subflows that don't have all of the dependent actions, but they'll show up as what's called ghost actions. I think that was a Quebec feature where it would say, hey, you are trying to run an integration, for example, or a custom spoke, or you've got something in this flow which was probably fine in dev, but you promoted the flow without the dependencies. So it's not going to run and you won't even be able to edit it. But it will tell you I'm missing pieces.
I think we had another query regarding CSTM. Is there any plans to recommend a common coding model similar to CSTM or CMDB, sorry.
That's an excellent question. I haven't been asked that before. Common coding model. No, but I know who I can ask tomorrow. Not tomorrow, Saturday. But what specifically were you looking for?
Hey Chuck, this is Manda. So basically, going through CSDM helped me understand CMDB and understand the basics, the concepts that there should be. So similarly, are we recommending any coding model, which script to use? We have more than 40 types of scripts. So something like this is the recommended approach. Can we go ahead with it?
There isn't anything officially published, but I did do was it creator workflow or was it community live stream? I think I did a video where I had a diagram of where your script actions go and your business rules and your client scripts and client callable client scripts. Client callable script includes all of that stuff. Let me see if I can find that for you.
That's topical deep dives, I guess.
In fact, I might be able to find this while we're here. If somebody else has another action. Another question?
We can quickly address it.
I'm considering this a challenge. My artifacts. Community live stream. What was I talking about? Dhruv, what did I call that?
I remember the series name was Topical Deep Dives, where you used to do those things.
Was it a topical deep dive?
Yeah, I think so.
Technical did something.
Technical.
Oh, I don't know if those came over from the other app. Let me look. See it. Let's look for script in the description. That's probably a terrible thing to look for. Oh, there's only 106 that match that criteria. Model? Has to help a coworker import? No. The tables involved with the UI list? No.
Can drop a quick mail to you.
It was recently too. I think it was right at the end of this series, which would have been December-ish. I'll have to find it. Oh, wait a minute. Topical deep dive. Data lookup tables, no. Fix scripts, no. Flow designer, transform functions. Dictionary attributes, no. Flow designer basics, many-to-many tables, reference qualifiers, custom flow actions, forms and lists, cascade delete. Labs, hackathon. Nope, not seeing it. You sure it was a technical deep dive? Topical deep dive?
It was around that time only, like when you were doing 2-3 color codes things.
When I was doing the different colored graphics. All right. I'll have to find it, which means it was somewhere between April of 2020 and December of 2020. All right.
Definitely it can't be API adventure, so that's why I thought it should be.
It wasn't
personal.
API Adventures because it wasn't APIs.
Code decode.
It wasn't Code Decoded because there was no code. What else did I
Then
have?
we are left with topical only, right?
Was it green, blue, orange, or purple? We'll find it. You know what? I probably.
Jack, I didn't mean to confuse you there.
No, that's all right. It might even be easier for me to go find that graphic from somewhere. Let's see. Google. If I can find the graphic, I'll show you. You can take a screenshot of it. Let's see. Now community. Oh, we're on the right track. Not show notes. Not screenshots. PowerPoint. Ooh. Oh. 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 Come on. No. Oh. No, that's like every. Oh. Yes. Haha, I found it. Okay. I have no idea where this ended up, but let's go. Let's go find it. Oop. All right. Why does it start up already running? That's just goofy. PowerPoint, you're confusing me. Open without running the slide deck. There. Okay, let me get a screen share up here in a second. Slideshow. Set up in a window. And go. This is... I'm surprised I found this. Thank you, former sober self. Let's get a screenshot on that. Screen share that. This is what I was looking for.
Okay.
It may have been an API adventure, Drew, based on the title of this slide. But I like this one because it gives you a foundation down here, which I call your library of basic building blocks. Could be script includes, could be flows and subflows and actions, but this is where you want to keep most of the logic for your apps, for your configuration stuff. Because they can be called by a scripted REST API, they can be called by UI actions and flows and business rules, all this stuff in the middle that's more heavily scripted. Could be called by client callable script includes. You think, Chuck, why wouldn't I just put I've got a script include and I've got a client callable script include. You can get that layer of abstraction for security reasons because you can put different ACLs on client callable script includes so that your client scripts are protected from your underlying logic completely. You could do a service portal calling a scripted REST API. So this was just something that I had built out for that discussion to help people understand what's where and what calls the other stuff. Hopefully that helps.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Screenshot away. I wouldn't call this a definitive common coding model, but the training department may have something similar. Who knows? They may have even stolen this for all I know. We share a lot of information, either deliberately or not. I've taken some diagrams from people at ServiceNow and used them for years. It's like, hey, how do things get into source control? Oh man, that one diagram that has the loop in it.
It's a perfect example of knowledge sharing.
The same slide is in the Learn JavaScript course. Okay. Because that was released in 2019. I don't remember making that slide that long ago, but the problem, that's what happens when you make 2,000 videos. You forget 1,900 of them.
I think Instant has one query regarding the App Engine Studio. How does ServiceNow envision adoption of App Engine Studio? How it would it be just a play and plug and play? Are there any guidelines available to maximize adoption? Because as devs, we tend to assume people would know how to work on an app. Also, most low-code developers don't know the know-hows of source control. So that's a challenge, I think.
Yeah, there's really a lot of. I'm glad you brought that up because that's something that we're working on right now. Is what is the best method of enabling those citizen developers? There's going to have to be some sort of onboarding. I mean, I wouldn't expect somebody to just sit down and use Excel and be proficient at it the first day on their job, or PowerPoint or any other tool. So you need some sort of training to get them familiar with this is a table, and if they're familiar with spreadsheets, rows and records and fields and columns, there's a lot of analogies you can draw between there. So one of the things that we're working on is some enablement material, either in the form of training courses or something like that, plus guidance on how to set up a center of excellence. Those are the people who actually get the request to say, hey, I'd like to build this app in our organization. And they go, well, we've already got 3 other requests for something just like it. Why don't we put you on that team? The center of excellence is really key to the success for a citizen developer program. And the other piece is the onboarding, obviously. So there's a lot to helping these people understand, and it's going to be the way that we maximize the usage of the platform. So people with a lot of these smaller requests, because I know as a customer, I was always too busy working on those strategic applications like the global warehouse management or the new ERP system. There was always something big to work on that the CIO said, hey, this is what we need to work on this year and next year and the year after. But meanwhile, you have a lot of these smaller projects that are going unfulfilled that could really add some value to the company. And that's where App Engine Studio is really going to take its place. So people can, we just had one that showed up in, was it ZDNet? There was a magazine that just came out that had an article about one of our employees. She was she's not a coder. She's not a computer science person. She's in communications. And one of the things she needed to track was requests for press releases. So she went into App Engine Studio and taught herself how to put together the table, put together an approval in Flow, some basic stuff that just said, Excel is not cutting it for me. And a lot of those power users that are going to teach themselves whatever anyway, whether it's Microsoft Access or whatever, they can teach themselves App Engine Studio pretty easily. Now, doing things right, like I mentioned earlier, would this be a better choice list or would it be a better reference field? That's usually where they're going to need some guidance and always have. I remember a few years ago, I was at a customer and they said, hey, we'd like to see if we can rebuild this Java app on ServiceNow. I got there and one of their admins, he wasn't even a developer. He just went browsing around the site and within 24 hours, he had most of the app built out. He was more partial to reference fields and I went, you probably have a few too many tables in this. I mean, I admired the fact that he got as far as he did without any training. But bright individuals are going to be able to pick this stuff up pretty quickly. It's the idiots like me you have to watch out for.
Sure, Chuck. So the reason I asked that is because the company that I'm working for is very aggressive towards the citizen developer program, and we do not know where to get started. Should we just give them access to App Engine Studio and just let's see how it works out, at least for a few bunch of folks? But like you mentioned, I think a training setup prior to giving them access before, at least letting them know the know-hows. What would be great, Chuck, is to have some sort of not a guided apps set, not something not similar to that, but maybe a training like the App Engine Studio UI looks great, something inbuilt into it before, where as devs we get approvals. Say if someone has completed a certain training, and perhaps videos of you teaching them would be great prior to them getting access to the systems. That would kind of ease them into coming into this whole, because they don't need much. Don't need to know much. So just that probably would help with the whole adoption as well.
Agreed. I mean, like you said, it's already got basically a guided tour of, hey, you want to build a table. Let's see where you want to start. So it's meant to be user friendly for the low code users. But yeah, you're right. It'd be nice if we had some sort of prequel or prerequisite. Watch this video and then I'll grant you access. So that would be nice to automate that. You could certainly do that manually today, but that wouldn't be optimal.
That's what we're doing now. And I mean, the UI, if it was within the UI, would be great. So just wanted to share that. Thanks, Chuck, for your insights.
You're welcome.
Great. I think we had a very good interactive session today. And I think for the interest of time, we'll jump on to the next thing. And a big thank you, Chuck, for again taking our time and all the
Very
patience
welcome.
for addressing. Big thank you always, and it's always great to have many more sessions from you in the near meetups.
I hope so too. Maybe someday in person again.
Definitely, we're still, keeping our fingers crossed that we someday we could all.
There's still time. I'm not dead yet.
And you won't be very soon. That's always a promise. Perfect. Okay, then I think we'll jump on to the next thing. It's a small game that we have, and post that we'll have a 5-minute small break maybe, and we have an interesting session coming up after that also. So I think Shreya, are you there?
Yes. Hello there, everyone.
Handing over to you.
Okay. Good morning, good evening. My name is Shreya, and I'll be your host for today's fun activity. So, on the occasion of ServiceNow Developer Meetup, we have arranged a fun and quirky Bollywood Now Kahoot quiz. So, let me quickly share my screen and explain the rules. Give me a minute. So this is a Kahoot-driven fun activity quiz, and there will be 20 questions in the quiz. And just to let you know that this game will be an integration between the Bollywood movie dialogues and the ServiceNow. And just so you know that all the answers will be related to ServiceNow or the daily IT activities. And best one player will be selected as winner who answers most of the questions answers correctly. And no prompting allowed. So all the best. So I'll just put the link through which you can join. You can join through your mobile or through your laptops as well. Give me a minute.
Chuck, do you remember there was something where you asked for these dialogues and movie dialogues, not related to service now?
Chuck has to watch some Bollywood movies.
I do. I need some more Bollywood experience.
I hope then you will enjoy this quiz.
For those who are not familiar with Kahoot, so just log in. We'll share a pin shortly. What you will see is a question, and there will be 4 options that you need to select out of whichever looks the right. Also, whoever answers it quickly, or whoever answers have a good answer streak, those points also will be considered in the positioning of the rank. Okay, so make sure you do it quickly and try to answer as much correct answers.
How come this isn't a ServiceNow app?
I think we should use then surveys and assessments for that. Check.
I thought I heard somebody internally, one of our training people was making a Kahoot-like app. So it might be coming. I have to keep an eye on Share or GitHub for that. All right, are we going to see the pin in the chat, or where are we going to see that?
Yeah, I've pasted in the chat. I'll share my screen as well.
As soon as I said it, there it is. Okay.
Okay, there we go. People are joining.
The enter your full name, guys. I think they are duplicates.
Yeah, we do need your full names if you want prizes.
No, but we do need your credit card number.
It is really fun. Thank you for organizing such type of games. And thank you, Chuck, for the information.
You're very welcome. My pleasure. I don't see my name on the screen. Or is it just showing? Oh, it's a big list. Never mind. No wonder I probably don't see it.
Yeah, big
Oh, that's
list.
cool.
Chuck, it knows that you will
80
be
participants now.
So what does it say? 15 ready, 14 ready. What's that?
It's actually counting on the timing. So like after 15 seconds, the game will start.
Ah, okay. It's resetting every time somebody joins.
Yeah, correct.
Oh, that's nice.
तुका जॉईन केलंय
7, 6, 15, 14, 30.
It's getting reset if someone leaves as well. So
I'm sorry, if you leave, no, you're done. 15, 14. We're going to be here a while.
I guess this is going to be one of the biggest Kahoots. 82 people joining. Lots of competition.
I don't think their system can handle this.
But remember, guys, we have only one winner, okay? So tough competition.
All right. If we ever get there.
Can you check if we can do it manually? Manually start the game. I think we cannot wait for more time.
I'm not very sure.
4, 50. We almost got down to 3.
I don't think I can manually start it, Vinayak.
Check on the participant numbers. There is an arrow there.
No.
It just collapses something.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe we can request that we maybe pause the joining right now.
10, 9, 15. It's going to turn into a drinking game pretty soon. If you see the number 15, take a drink. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 4, 3, 2, 15. Sorry.
Yes, there we go.
I have to translate some questions to Chuck.
Oh my.
First question, मेरे पास बंगला है, गाड़ी है, घर है, तेरे पास क्या है? What do you think, guys?
Can I just take random guesses?
Oh, you may.
Okay.
There we go. Security admin role, correct. So we have Harishankar, Shrishti, Ashish, Pratik. ServiceNow के कितने founders है? Is it 2, 3, 4, or 5?
I'm not sure what I clicked. It was somewhere in between. I couldn't read the question, but I think I have a pretty good idea what it said.
Yeah. Yes, it's 4.
Can you name them?
Fred Luddy.
Yes, you got one. Fred Luddy.
David Liu?
David Liu, yes. Do not
Don't
touch-
underestimate the power of a dash. So you need to fill in the blank.
Power nap. Hey, that's
I would go with
important to me.
samosa.
That's important
Who
to me.
wants a power nap?
Samosa is a very famous snack over here, like munchik snack. Chuck, like people love to eat samosas.
All right, who said samosa? There was one answer on that.
Okay, we have first RPZR.
Oh, I am failing miserably.
Which table name does this dialogue refer to? हम जहाँ खड़े होते हैं लाइन वहीं से शुरू होती है. Okay, Chuck, come on, give your answer. I think everyone will be knowing this answer.
Not
Okay, 43. There we go.
You're not even going to
Okay, now we
translate
have
it for me?
I told you, you have to watch more Bollywood movies.
I
for
don't even
that.
have time to copy and paste it into Google Translate.
Okay, so those who know from the movie, हम एक बार जीते एक बार मरते हैं, शादी भी एक बार होती है. So this is a puzzle. So you just need to drag and drop and the options into correct sequence. So you have time, guys. Think.
I have to look at a Google logo because these are Google's colors. I have no clue.
Okay, we have 11 answers yet.
What do you- am I missing a submit button? There it is. It was hidden behind my
No
Zoom
need
chat.
to no need to enter a submit button. You just need to place the options correctly in the sequence, like drag and drop it.
Yeah, I dragged them around somewhere.
Okay.
Make random guesses, Chuck. Make random guesses.
Oh, they are totally random.
It's brilliant, this game.
Okay.
You guys just wanted to have a game where you could
81%.
beat me.
Okay, yet Dhruvi, Pratik, Abhishek. परंपरा प्रतिष्ठा अनुशासन ये इस गुरुकुल के 3 स्तंभ है. So which option does this dialogue refer to? Chuck, take guesses.
There's only one I can read. Oh, 2. I take that back. There's 2.
There we go. ServiceNow
Woo!
best practices.
I got one.
Okay, yeah, Dhruvi, Pratik, Abhishek. Leaderboards.
I'm in 56th place.
Next question. हर बाप का एक बाप होता है और उसे हम दादाजी कहते हैं. Is it SLA, business rule, task table or schedule job?
Who is the father of
Chuck,
all the
what
things?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. That's what the dialogue means.
Oh, I almost said that. It was one of my top 4 choices.
Okay, you need to be a little quicker then, I guess.
All right.
Picture abhi baki hai mere dost. I think Chuck, you might have seen this movie or not.
No.
Do you know him?
Basically, yeah, dialogue means trailer has been done, movie is still yet to play.
Yes. Yes, that's it. UAT
Nope.
sign off.
I'm down to 77th. You know what? I think I'm going to make my goal now to come in as last place. How many people did we have on this game?
I think around 80.
Okay, and I'm in 77th place. I'm making you all feel really good about now.
Next question. Pushpa, I hate tears and I also hate dash. Is it Karela, Corona,
come
Effects,
on.
or Mogambo?
Now I have to pick the right answer because there's only
Because we
one
are
that's related to
developers.
ServiceNow. At least 77 people got it right. I think
Wow,
somebody
Dhruvi is leading.
surprise.
Come on, Abhishek. Come on, Shashti.
Okay.
जा
Pass.
सिमरन जा, जी ले अपनी जिंदगी. Is it Shah Rukh Khan, production go live, Europe trip, or Rome release?
I have to tell you, this is the best quiz I've had in a long time.
This is the developer saying to his code, go ahead, go to the production.
Ooh, I'm in
Live your
83rd place
life.
now. I'm in 83rd place. Now we're talking.
Oh, we have Shrishti. Okay.
Okay,
Our
11.
business is our business, none of your business.
Wow.
You put Taliban.
The Taliban. Ah. Oh.
Business rule. Not one answer Taliban. Okay.
I thought I did.
नेक्स्ट, हर टीम में बस एक ही गुंडा हो सकता है और इस टीम का गुंडा मैं हूं. Another famous dialogue. Is it incident, admin, service request, or coach? Kabir Khan.
Basically, who's the boss here?
Yeah.
For a minute, I thought that was Borat.
Correct. Admin. 78
Admin
people,
can't be.
admin.
Admin can't be the boss, man. He's the one who's working.
Ooh, Shrishti just pulled
Shrishti.
ahead.
Dash से डर नहीं लगता साहब, dash से लगता है. Very famous dialogue, another from Dabang. Is it Thanos, Hulk? Is it Ma, Papa?
So the query is basically check that you're not afraid of something, but you're afraid of something.
I've given up at this point. I think I'm in last place. Yep, I'm still in 85th place.
Yeah, okay, we have Dhruvi again on the board.
Oh, wow. There's 5 people that are really going at it. Good job. We're almost
Next
done.
question. एक बार जब मैंने कमिटमेंट कर दी, उसके बाद मैं अपने आप के भी नहीं सुनता.
This one was tough.
Is that you commit once and you cannot...
Relate it. Yeah, relate it.
Feeling competitive? Not anymore.
Correct.
You can
Update
back out.
set. Okay, we have Dhruvi again, Harishankar, Shrishti.
5 more to go, guys. 5 more.
बाहर से कोई अंदर नहीं आ सके, अंदर से कोई बाहर ना जा सके. Is it Olympics? Is it Dimple Kapadia? Is it Coconut, or is it ACL?
Yeah,
the answer should have
funny,
been.
okay?
You're trying, now you're just trying to hand it to me. I'm not taking the bait.
There we go, ACL.
Yes, I'm in 86th place. I moved down one.
People still have answered as Coconut.
Yeah. Next question, very famous. कभी कभी लगता है अपुनी भगवान है. CMDB table, UI builder, flow designer, or developer?
You're making this really hard on me. I feel like I'm
Basically,
studying.
It's
studying
like
for a
I'm
medical
feeling like
test or
God.
something.
Okay, 58 people gave developer. No, it's CMDB table.
Ooh, that changes things a bit.
It's your perception
Shrishti
how
went
you
down.
take that.
Next question. तारीख पे तारीख, तारीख पे तारीख, तारीख पे तारीख मिलती गई my lord, but इंसाफ नहीं मिला. Is it
I just
birth
love the
date?
way that sounds. That was awesome. Read it again.
Okay. तारीख पे तारीख, तारीख पे तारीख, तारीख पे तारीख मिलती गई my lord, but इंसाफ नहीं मिला. Is it birth date, anniversary date, new year date, or go live date?
You should say it in the style of Sunny Deol.
Oh, I think
Tariq pe
someone
tariq.
should try it.
Tariq
That
pe
is
tariq.
awesome. Don't ask me to say it.
You can try it now as well.
Oh, heavens no.
Okay, we have another question. आप पुरुष ही नहीं महापुरुष है. Is it visual task board, knowledge base, security admin, or catalog item?
Chuck, to translate, you're not a man, you're a superman. That's what
Superman.
it means.
There we go. Security admin.
Love it.
Yet again, Dhruvi is leading. Okay, second last question. जोर जोर से बोल के लोगों को स्कीमें बता दे. Is it reimbursement, LIC, JavaScript executor, Zomato, IPO? Correct, JavaScript executor. I wonder who gave reimbursement.
It's me. It's me.
Okay, we have new person, Hari Shankar. Great. Last question.
One.
एक डैश की कीमत तुम क्या जानो रमेश बाबू? एक डैश that is mask, semicolon, chocolate और पनीर.
Oh, I had some chocolate today.
Great. 75 people semicolon. Okay, 3 people mask. 2 chocolate, 2 paneer.
It was a difficult competition altogether.
Congratulations, guys. Congratulations.
12% of the people got that sequence right? That was it.
Yes, we are done. So the first winner will be getting a
Congratulations,
prize.
Harishankar.
Yes, Harishankar.
Hey, can you consider top 60?
Top 60.
14 also will do.
I hope you all enjoyed, guys.
That was a lot of
Definitely.
fun.
I think the main winners are the organizers, like Shreya and team. Like, it was an amazing quiz. I think even had it been in person, people would be giving a round of applause for you.
Thank
For
you.
sure.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy, very glad everyone liked it. And everyone gave answers, actively participated. Thank you very much.
The questions were amazing.
It's actually all the organizers who helped me in organizing this quiz. So it's a round of applause for everyone who organized.
I want to see if we can use that in some of our United States chapters and see what they say.
Oh, definitely. We can create something like that again.
There are many Bollywood fans over there.
Yeah,
Sir.
maybe Hollywood, yeah. Maybe some Avengers edition or something like that.
We definitely know who speaks Hindi.
Perfect. I think I'll request the winner to please paste in your email ID in the chat, so that we keep up with the connection after this meetup completes. Perfect. I think we'll take maybe 2-3 minutes of small break maybe, and we'll join back. We have one interesting session coming up on HRST, and I think Shivan is already there. Perfect. Okay, then I think exact maybe 5 minutes break. Would that be good for everyone?
All right, I'm going to
That
drop
should-
off. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, Chuck.
Have a
Thank
wonderful
you,
day.
Chuck.
Thank you, everybody.
Sure.
That's a great night for you, and have a great weekend, and hope to connect you back soon. Thanks for
Yes.
the time.
Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye. Perfect. So we'll connect back exactly in 300 seconds. And I think, thank you, Rajan. I think meanwhile, everybody's taking a break. It's really good to see that you're joining us from Toronto. I know for you, that time zone, you and Chuck, it's a very big challenge, with the timing things. And a big thank you, Rajan, for joining us. And everybody else, everybody else who has been joining, across time zones, across world. I think it is a big motivation that we give to the meetups. Definitely. It's a big boost that we got. Okay, perfect. Okay, then. Perfect. I think. Yeah, Malan. So it was 5 minutes break, I think. Good to begin. I hope everybody's joining us back. And I hope Shivani, you have joined us.
Yes, hi Sujin.
Then just wait for maybe another minute. Still joining back.
Can I share my screen meanwhile?
Yep. Perfect. Your screen is visible.
Okay.
Okay, then I think we're good to begin. Shivani.
Okay, so shall I start?
Yes, please.
Okay, so hello everyone, I'm Shivani Mandirata. I'm working as a ServiceNow developer in Globant, and I have 6 years of experience in ServiceNow development. I have worked on various different modules and some custom applications also. Recently, I worked on HRSD lifecycle event project, and it really was a great experience. So I thought to share some of the details of this application with you. So today we will cover what lifecycle event is, why do we need it, the roles and the plugins required. We'll also explore some of the pre-configured lifecycle events. We will learn the details of how to configure a lifecycle event step by step. And we will explore a little bit about what's new in ROM for this module. Then we'll have a demo to understand it in a better way. Now, this module, this entire application is basically implemented to automate the processes in any organization. For example, if earlier what used to happen, the HR agents or any employees, they had to manage the data of the employees or fulfill the request manually, and most of the communications were through emails. So to ease this process and to make the life of the employees easy, especially the HR agents, we can use this more application. This application is a collection of activities, which I'll say the tasks that often have multiple departments, and different tasks are organized into activity sets. It means these are categorized. So we can use it with the help of the HR service. One second. Yeah. With HR service delivery on Now platform, we can automate the fulfillment of any request which are made by the employees, and the employees can also self-serve them. So it will minimize the number of the tasks the HR agents need to perform, and also the other employees of the company need to perform manually. Now, so in our organization, we have many processes like pre-hire, onboarding, international travels, etc. For example, when any employee joins any organization, they need to go through various processes, like they need to submit their documents, they need to sign the documents, they need to give the details. So all this is done by the employees, and the HR agents have to manage it. So here in this application, we are provided with the HR profile where they can manage all the data of the employee, and they can also trigger the tasks for the employees as well as the manager. So this application automates this entire process. And also there are other processes also which can be automated here. For example, if any employee wants to apply for the paternity leave or the maternity leave, again, when an employee wants to travel abroad, there are many approvals, many processes which they go through. Then we have some offboarding process. When any employee raise the separation, then also there is a certain process. So this application can be used to automate any of these processes, and it makes the life easy. And we can also manage the employee data in the table, which is HR profile, and it helps us to manage the data very efficiently. So to use this application, we need to have human resources scoped app. This can be used by installing the plugin, which is called as lifecycle event. And the role which we require here is the admin role and the activity set management role. Now, our ServiceNow instance comes with some of the pre-configured lifecycle event. One is the new hire onboarding and other is the parental leave of absence. So new hire onboarding comes in the enterprise onboarding and transitions application. I'll let you know more about this process in our demo. Then we have parental leave of balance. It comes configured with the employee generals. So now, I'd like to tell you how step by step we can automate any process and we can configure a lifecycle event. So first of all, we need to define our process. We need to know what the process is. Let's take here the example. If any of the employee wants to apply for parental leave of absence, so in that case, an organization have certain processes, like they need to submit the leave request, then though that needs to go through certain approvals. Then once the employee is expecting a baby, they need to submit some documents so that they can enjoy the perks and the policies of the organization. Then after all this, when an employee wants to join back, they can raise the request again, and then there are certain tasks which are needed to be performed by the employee, the IT, so that they can resume their work back. So in this way, we need to define our process, and depending upon the tasks we are that is the activities here, we can categorize them on the basis of the activity sets. That is when we need to trigger them. So here we need to define what all the process we need, the task, and when we need to trigger them. So after getting all these functional requirements, we need to know the technical requirements. So here the technical requirements will include the type of the task we need to trigger. Like there can be many tasks, for example, submitting a document, filling up a form, e-signing the document, sending any email notification. In that way, we need to define our task types. Then we can define to whom the task need to be assigned to. So after getting all those technical requirements, we can start building our lifecycle event. So to start with, we'll first go by creating the activity set type. Here, activity set type will have multiple activities, that is the tasks, and we can define when we can trigger a particular activity set. So all the tasks which we need to trigger in one time frame, we can categorize them into one activity set type. Then after we define all the activities and activity sets, we can use an HR service to trigger our lifecycle event. So these are the 4 basic steps which we can use, we need to do for configuring a lifecycle event. Now, to understand it better, I'll show you in the instance. So here I have installed the plugin lifecycle event. After installing that, I get all these modules which I can use. So here the main table here is HR profiles. In this we have the details of all the employees. If I open any one of the record, we can see here all the details of an employee, the employment information, the contact information is here. We can also have employment start date and employment end date also after any employee leaves the organization, so that to maintain the alumni process. So here the HR profile table is used to maintain the data. Then we have different other modules also, which are managed activities. So if I go here, I can create any new tasks. Then we have managed activity sets. And here we have the managed lifecycle event module. So after clicking here, I'll get the pre-configured lifecycle event, which is called as new hire onboarding. So it is used for employee onboarding. I'm using here the new UI. If you want, you can also switch to classic UI. Then we have activity sets here. So as here you can see, we have different activity sets. So this is pre-hire, pre-onboarding, then we have day one. So these are activity sets, and in each of the activity set we have different activities open for request, subject, persons. So these are the tasks. So if I want to edit any of the activity set, I can go here and I can see when the details of the activity sets. Here is the name. So here is, we see a field which is called as trigger type. It defines when we need to trigger a particular activity sets. If I want to trigger it immediately, I can also set it depending upon the date. I can also set it depending upon other activity sets. So if one activity set is completed, then this activity set should be triggered. I can use this. Here in the advanced, we can do some scripting also, the conditions. The combination means we can add the combination of both date and some conditions also. So here, this pre-hire activity set is getting triggered immediately. Here it means immediately when the HR case is created. Okay, so here in the pre-hire, we have different activities which will be triggered. Then we have pre-onboarding. So here it's same as the previous one, but it is triggering depending upon the other activity set. And here we can also mention the activity set name on which this activity set is dependent. So here it's pre-hire. It means once the pre-hire is activity set is triggered, after that the pre-onboarding will trigger. Here we can see the order, the display order. Here it is 100, 200, 300. So it defines the way the activity sets need to be triggered and the display. It is always in the ascending order. Similarly, we have another activity set which is called as day one. So in day one, we can define all the activities needed to be performed on day one. Here it is based upon the date, if you see, and here we have mentioned the date field. Right, so here we are using the job start date. It is one of the field in the table HR lifecycle in case. We can use here any other table, for example, HR profile, and we can choose any other field also. So in this way, we can define all the activity sets. Then in any one of the activity set, we have all the tasks which are needed to be triggered on the same date. For example, here. Now we have different types of tasks. That is the activities. If we see here, we have this mark when complete tasks. So it is a type of the task which is triggered, and we define here the task template. So in task template, we define all the details of the task.
Shivani, sorry to interrupt, but the pop-up which you are trying to display is not visible. I guess you are sharing only Chrome window, so the pop-ups are not visible.
Okay, let me share again. Is it visible now?
Yeah, now visible, yes.
Okay, thank you. So if we see here, this is a task temp. I have opened an activity, and these are the details of the activity. Here we have HR task template. If I open it, yeah, we can see here that we can define the short description, the name of the task, and also from here we can define the HR task type. Here the type is mark when complete. We have multiple task types like notification, survey, e-sign document, submit a catalog. Then we can define the assignment type from here. Here the parent case subject person means the subject person for which the case is raised for. For example, if any employee wants to join a company, then the new hire is the subject person. Open for means the person who is creating the case. It can be HR agent or it can be manager, anybody. Then we have user from the case. We can choose any user from the case and named user. We can also hard code any user profile here. So then we have due date. We can also define a due date for a task. It is not mandatory. We can also create the task without any due date, but if we need, we can also set the due date. Then here we have another feature which is called a set reminder. If I click here, it will send a reminder notification to the employee that your task is going to be due within 1 day or 2 days. Here also we can, after checking here, I'll get a field, and we can also define the number of days before the due date I want to send the reminder. So this is very useful feature. Then, so these are all the basic details for which we need to fill in HR task template. So it was a type of mark when complete task. Similarly, we have different types of tasks also. For example, we have a URL task. Here we can mention URL. We have submit catalog tasks. So if I open this task, this task is triggered for the employee. And it is a type of submit catalog item task. We can have other task types also, like take survey, e-signature, upload documents, view some video. Then we have collect employee input. So using all these tasks, these are triggered automatically. So HRs do not have to send notifications to the new hires or follow up with them every time to submit any information. They just need to trigger these tasks. So this is submit catalog item task. And here we can define the catalog item which we have created. Then we define that this task should be assigned to subject person manager. So here, this is a field which we are using here. Then we have given due date also. If you can see that we are given 2 days before, after the task is created. So after 2 days, this task will be overdue. So if I want to send a reminder, I can just click here. I can select the reminder template, any of the reminder template. This is the email template. And I can also mention like 1. So it means 1 day before the due date, the reminder notification will go to the assigned to person. So this is another type of task template. Then similarly, we have different tasks like take surveys and URLs. So I'll directly show you up in the employee service center. I'll just impersonate with the user, maybe Abel, that how it looks to a user in portal. Yeah. So when a user comes here in the to-dos, Abel can see all the tasks which are assigned to him. If you see here, he is having this task, please complete your mandatory training. So once they click here, he'll get to new page, and from there he can complete the training. Then we have this. This is the e-sign signed a generated NDA document. So this is a type of e-sign task. Here the employee can go and type their name also. For example, I'll type here Abel. Then we can also draw signature here, anything, and then we can accept and complete it from here. See, so this is reduced any paperwork or any maintenance. The employee can just go here and e-sign the document. So once this is done, at the back end, the task will be shown as completed automatically. Let me end the impersonation. So in this way, we can create different tasks. We can also complete the task from the employee service center. And then we have a different module, which is called as HR criteria. Here, it is used if I want, for example, if I have a video task or a URL task or any task which I want to be generated only for the managers, not for all the employees. So from here, I can create the criteria also. Or if I want some tasks to be created only for the office-based employees, so I can create a criteria here, and I can add a condition. So in this way, we can also manage the audience for different employees. So this was very basic about this application. Yeah. So looking at the time, I'm moving to my next slide. This is called what's new in Rome. So earlier, what used to happen to use to get the mobile experience, we used to install a different application which is called as mobile onboarding app. But now with Rome, we need not to install a different application. We can use ServiceNow mobile application only, which is called as Now Mobile app, and we do not have to maintain the two different applications. So now this module, it comes integrated within this app only, and they have used deep linking and universal thinking for mobile for our smooth login experience. If you want, you can explore more about it in docs. If anybody is having any questions, then please feel free to ask. Yes, activity sets also needs a trigger. As I told, we can trigger them on the basis of the dates, on the basis of another activity sets. We can also trigger them using scripts or any conditions. So they also need a trigger. Can we create signature from image like we do in a draw? No, I don't think so. We can create a signature through image. We can just type it, or we can just draw it.
There's another query stating that is the eSign activity available outside HRST or any other plugin?
Not sure on this part. Maybe I'll check on it. But in HRSD we have it.
There's one generic query from Harsha that I think I'll get back to you. Harsha wants to finish off this HRST maybe. Any more queries for HRST right now? The session that Shivani just gave us. Okay, perfect. I think Shivani, big thank you. I think it was very interesting and in-depth thing that we got to know regarding HRST. Thanks for taking out your time and sharing us the knowledge that you have. So Saturday morning, I know. I think. Yeah, I think there's one final query from Raju. I think what are the prerequisites to move from HR? Yeah, what are the prerequisites to move to HR?
You just need to install the application which I just told you. You just need to install lifecycle event, HR human resources lifecycle event plugin.
Thank you, Shivani.
Thank you, Sujan. It was pleasure.
Have the generics over here. That
Photo session.
Indeed.
That was good session. Thank you, Shivani.
Thank you.
Indeed, a wonderful session. Perfect. I think, Mandai, are you suggesting anything for Pratik that this system property that allows them to save signatures for user? It might be useful to use the e-signatures.
I mean, e-signatures, there's a property, I forgot the property name. So basically that in a way allows users to reuse their signature if they have already drawn it or already used something that shows up in their recently used list. But yes, I mean, that's a system property, not exactly similar to using an image. Need to be tried out. So yeah, that was around that particular part.
And I think we have one query from Harshad regarding, reference qualifiers. So I think there's one field which is having almost 1 million records, but when he tries to click on it, it's taking obviously you want to do 10 to 20 seconds to load, and it won't be showing any filtered data other than putting in some limit queries or something like that. So what can be a good way that you can have that 1 million data filtered out? Any suggestions anyone wants to pitch in over here? Harshad's query.
Harshad, could you refine your query based on any department, class, anything, or just add in parameters, so that you could get limited results in that?
No, actually, what is actually this data is like for controls. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, so it's audible.
Yeah. So, like this data is coming from controls, and what client is saying that he may have more than 2 million controls in the future. So, like we are thinking on workaround.
Just one query away, Harshal, like,
So that we
the
can restrict.
filters that you're talking about, are they definite filters that are always going to be there, or they're going to be very dynamic changing filters for the data?
No, those are fixed filters. Like the control objectives will be from a specific source, and the controls related to those control objective. This kind of filters.
One maybe suggestion that that immediately comes up on my mind is that maybe you can have some small staging tables or breakdown tables that where you can just break down the data from those 1 million records filtered out, and accordingly you can push it to your fields. So that is one of the ways that you can push that. You're not querying or loading out 1 million data for every time a reference qualifier has been clicked out. So you can break down the data and pull it and call it accordingly like that, and on your form. So that can be one ways that can be possible. If anybody else has any better suggestions or something that could be useful, please, anybody, if you want to help Harsha with that.
For
Query.
this, like
So I did something like this. In that, first thing that you need to understand, uh, there is no out of the box way to restrict these things. That how much data will come. It depends on your filters. Second thing, as Sujan mentioned, what we did for controls, we at the top created certain fields called policy or control objectives. So at control, if you are about GRC, right? Controls are in GRC.
yeah, yes, right.
Okay, so first filter should be either can be at entity level, like before this control field, create a field based on your environment, like it could be entity, that against which entity which control you want, or it can be against the control objective. So that will help you in breaking that set. Otherwise, it's a very bad experience if you are trying to load controls in a related list. So in which process, like policy exception process, or what's the need for bringing on the control list?
Actually, it's during the issue generation process.
Issues are automatically created, right?
No, there is I think
There
manual
is
issue creation
there
process is
there
there.
there is one catalog for issue creation as well, but in that
Yeah,
recommendation would
okay.
be to either select control objective and entity. This is how issues you map. So don't
Yeah,
go
right,
for
right,
so
right.
don't fetch controls, because controls are unique in the GRC platform and the counts is gonna be huge. So it's gonna be tough for
Yeah,
you as
like
well. Okay,
yes.
perfect.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for suggestions.
No worries, man.
And I think use the developer meetup also there. That in case you have any queries, you can feel free to post it over there. People are looking into those pages, and people will surely help you out. We will also come down and try to answer as much as queries that are there. Perfect. I think it was a fantastic session. I think thank you all to all the participants who took out their time on the early Saturday morning and joined us. A big thank you to other session presenters. I think Jack has dropped. And, big thank you to Shivani also and Shreya also for amazingly conducting that particular Bollywood game. I think we're really looking forward in such and more in future. And
We have a
thank you.
quick
Yeah.
camera session. Like I would
Yeah.
request everyone to on their
I
camera.
think before we wrap up, a virtual selfie, please, would be good to have. So I would request everyone, if it is comfortable, please do switch
Come
on
on,
your.
guys, don't feel shy. Please switch on the camera.
Vinayak, do give us a count before you click the photos.
Should I ask everyone to say service now?
Yeah.
They say everyone service now. One more. Only so many people have. Where are the rest of them?
They're a bit camera shy.
Saturday could have something to do with it.
I think most of them have not taken. I mean, that's teeth also. I think.
I brushed it. Yeah.
Before we wrap up, I think any final comments. I think we have very special guests, Mandar and Dhruv, joining us. It's good to have you both. And any final comments that and Mandar, you're looking fabulous. It's different look that I'm seeing you in Tally after a long time. Looking good on you.
Thank you. No, I mean, organization has been great. So though people see my name as co-host, I did nothing. I just attended it as a normal user. So great work, guys. Look, I mean, happy to see Chuck joining us. So that's good. Sharing his knowledge, wealth of knowledge. So that's good. Keep doing what you're doing. Great. Thank you.
Any final words from Guru?
Yeah, man. Just one thing that has been pumped up in developer communities. It's like ServiceNow is taking a turn from Cubic release itself. So time to learn new stuffs. Reason being, if you don't learn now, you will lag behind. So if you are looking for something on UI Builder, that is the major chunk. There are few people you can follow. One is Ashley Snyder. She's writing some great blogs. So Brad Tilton, developer blogs, and there are lots of YouTube videos. So try and find some time and learn those things, because that's the demand that is coming up. Like I saw some projects in the pipeline, and 90% of them have the requirement for UI Builder. So that's
Yeah,
all.
again, the poll that was taken to look at that itself, to have a workshop organized next time in between the next quarter. So we'll try and organize. I think a lot of them have given their option for integration hub and UI Builder. We'll see if we can club those both and have a good session for you all to learn and get started with all those.
Try keeping them separate. Those are very extensive topics, and don't try to learn them in one shot. And if you are planning for UI Builder, let me know. I'll talk with Ashley Snyder. She will definitely give a session, and if you learn from her, that would be amazing. If you want to follow or something, see what she is doing. Recently, ServiceNow started with like lady live coding happy hours. Earlier, it was used to be Chuck and all. So, but now Maria, Paige, and Ashley are doing fabulous jobs. So you can watch out that thing as well.
Surely, I think it will
Good
good
suggestion.
connect back to you. Maybe a session from Ashley would be good, because that is the next thing that we're looking into this meetups, is that we can organize some training sessions or some where it can be fun coding down and learning live coding or something of that sort that can be done. Great, thank you for that particular advice. And in final words from Vinayak and Anubhav, I think Anubhav, I'll just introduce that Anubhav has joined us as one of the organizers for the Pune chapter. I think a warm welcome, Anubhav. And then final words from you both.
Just I think users, the participants are asking for the recording link. It will be shared on the Meetup page once we have that available, so you can go through that. We will try and see if we can have this uploaded to YouTube as well. We'll get back on that.
Perfect. Then I think a big thank you for joining us. Have a great day, and we'll connect back to you soon. Take care and stay safe.
Thanks all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you all.
Thank
Thanks a
you.
lot.
Thank
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.